Hi guys, it's Corrine and I'm here today with another entry into my Smash book. Today I am using some paper by Heidi Swap, her Sugar Chic collection. So I'm looking for a piece of paper in my Smash book that will go well with. And here in a minute I show you that the paper actually goes really well with the Smash book paper. It almost matches perfectly. You'll only see a small border one side here on the page, but it complements it very well. And I cut that piece of paper to 6.5 by 10, and I'm showing you there that I've added tape on the back. I've also cut all my photos to 3 by 3 photos, and I'm adding them to a 3.5 square white mat using my ATG gun. So all the cutouts here that I'm showing you are using the Sugar Chic collection. I love her papers. And here I printed an Allie Edwards stamp that says, "Love these everyday photos," or stories. Love these everyday stories, something to that effect. These papers are cut at 3 7/8 by 6.5, 7 and 7.5. And you'll see why I made each one a ½ inch larger. So 3 7/8 by 6.5, 3 7/8 by 7, and 3 7/8 by 7.5. Now I'm erasing those pencil marks because I remember that I'm putting photos on those. So now I'm going to score each one of them at the top of the papers at 1/4 inch. And again, I'll show you why here in just a moment. I'm using my Martha Stewart scoreboard. And now I'm going to cut out a banner shape of each one of them. And I want them to be identical. So that's why I went ahead and measured it out, and we'll trace it on the other two and cut it so they're the exact same. And now I'm aligning the bottom, not the top, being that they are, each one is a ½ inch larger. There I just want to show you that the very top of my banner is about 7/8 of an inch. I went from the bottom up 7/8 of an inch in the middle of that piece of paper, and I'm cutting all of them the exact same. And again, I'm measuring them from the bottom, not from the top. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to stagger them a little. You'll be able to see here. That way they have an even amount showing on the bottom. So I'm just erasing my pencil lines, and I will go ahead and adhere my photos. Again, these are 3 by 3 photos, and they're not from one occasion. They're just everyday photos. I think there's one in there from a wedding, but they're just photos that I wanted to get scrapped. Some are recent, some are a little bit older. I don't do my Smash book in any type of chronological order. I just, whatever photo I want to use that day is what I like to put in my Smash book. And since I started working with Smash books, I've been able to get so many photos scrapped that otherwise would be sitting there waiting for me to do the perfect 12 by 12 page. The Smash book I like for my everyday photos, even if they're not great photos. I'm still putting the memories in there, and that's what I like about it. So I'm using my Scotch Quick Dry to adhere my photos to my banners. And in this page alone, I was able to get 12 photos, which is quite a lot for one Smashbook page. Now here I'm adding some foam tape to that 1/4 inch score line that I did. And the reason I'm adding the foam tape is because the photos add quite a bit of bulk, being that there's photos on both sides of the banners. They're adding bulk to those pages. And so if I were to glue that top part down, it would make it stand up. top banner would be flipping out a little bit. So with the foam tape, they sit perfectly on top of each other. So I'm just aligning those and placing them down. Here is a scallop border that I cut from the Sugar Chic collection as well. And I'm just adhering that onto the side, the right side of the banner. Here is a bow that I cut out from the Cameo, again with the same paper collection. Just everything I've used is from that paper collection. And I have a tutorial if you do not own a Cameo or a Cricut that you can cut these bows out on, how to make them by hand. So if you have not seen that and you're interested in that, I will put a link in the description box below showing you how you can make a bow similar to this. I usually just cut them from my Cameo a whole page at one time. I love, as some of you may know, I love using the bows in my pages or projects. So I usually just cut a bunch at one time. That's why I tend not to make them by hand. Now I'm adding wet glue just to that top score line, the very top, and I'll adhere that down. And now if I did not use the foam tape, the banners would be flaring up, but because I did, it's laying perfectly flat. Here I took the tape backing off just the top of my paper so I could align it on my paper where I want. And now I'm removing the rest of the tape and placing it down in my smash book. And then I will add my last 2 photos. And again, that gives me 12 photos then. I get asked quite a bit why I add paper to my smash books if I'm not happy with the paper in the smash books, or what's my reasoning if it's thin paper. It's not thin paper. I'm going to guess that it's 65-pound weight. That's just my guess. It's a nice thickness of the paper. It's just I love paper. So like today I was looking at this sugar sheet collection and I just couldn't stand not using it. So that's why I went ahead and added it to my Smashbook. Or if there's a page in my Smashbook that I don't like, then I will purposely cover it up. But that's usually not the case. It's usually I just want to use a piece of paper. That's what inspires me, is photos and paper. That's what I always start with when I'm deciding on what to do in my Smashbook. And then I will choose embellishments to go along with that. So like there is a little scallop that I cut, and I'm adding a couple hearts to that. And I also added a little arrow that points to the Allie Edwards stamp. Now I'm adding a little banner that I cut out. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to leave the negative space where the hearts cut out, but I decided to flip the hearts over so the white shows and add those back in. Now I'm going to add my bow to the top of the page and some enamel dots. I use some enamel dots from My Mind's Eye and Teresa Collins. And that's all there is to the page. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the box below. And I appreciate you watching. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Corenescreations. Thanks so much.